Everyone, here we are with ticker symbol NIO NEO Inc. And before we jump into this chart, I want to say welcome to all my first-time viewers and investors. Welcome to my channel, Invest for Tomorrow. To all my subscribers, welcome back, and let's jump into this chart. So NEO Inc. is actually creating that effect that I've been talking about that has been going on in the previous months, and even in my previous videos I've talked about it. And I keep on circling it so that we are aware as investors what is going on here. And every time it obviously has a bullish run and it goes up, it levels off, it has another run, and then it's leveled off for some time. Obviously there's spikes up and down due to the fact of the volatility of the market, the uncertainty. But again, this is one of the smallest times, right? It only lasted almost about 2 weeks before it spiked up. Usually it would take about a month and a half. And what I'm noticing is these spikes are taking less time over time to happen. So the first one happened here and it took a while. The next one happened here and it was a less shorter time. And this one was 2 weeks. And here we are going again onto another one. And we can see the slight leveling off. So far, I don't see any red flags on NEO of this going anywhere in this direction, because then that's where it's going to be very obvious that there's a lot of profit taking and fear and uncertainty for the market of this particular stock. But a lot of investors, I believe, are feeling bullish, and that's why we just continue to see this upward trend, and it's hitting newer highs every time. Now, it takes time to see the growth of a stock like that, right? You don't just see that overnight, but the volatility is there with the ups and downs. But every time it shoots up, it holds itself up, and I really like that. That really stands out to me, and that lets me know that there's something good going on here, right? That investors know about. And remember, a lot of us are small fish, and there's bigger fish in the whole grand scheme of things. And if you're a little fish participating in this opportunity, the big fish are the ones creating this drive to stay itself up, and are the ones that usually create the drives to go on its way down. So right now, I believe there's a lot of big fish believing in NEO, and they're the ones holding this up. I mean, so far I've been waiting to see what happens, and I know we broke through the 50-day moving average. I talked about it yesterday. We've ended up in bearish territory, but it's happened before on the sideways movement, and the volatility is there. You see the ups and downs. Again here, the ups and downs. But the main thing is that it's holding itself up. That's a really good sign of investors being bullish, and also the growth of this company. I mean, NEO has grown tremendously from the beginning of this year. And if you go all the way to last year's charts, I mean, this thing was well below $2 and it started to grow. It made 2 times that towards the end of the year. It was growing. And then in the middle of this year is when we saw it start to actually grow again. It got out of the $3 mark. And from that point forward, it's just been going up. I mean, this is hitting newer highs. So there's some important things here that I'm not sure if I mentioned it in yesterday's video, but I always like to point it out. The highest point of any bullish run, and that was way up here at 29.40. 29.40 needs to be broken through by the bulls so they can start to work their way up to newer highs and newer resistance levels. So that's super important to keep in mind. Now, one of the lowest points reached in this whole entire bullish run before it continued, right? Because this is volatile here and there's a lot of ups and downs, but one of the lowest points since this has actually been going in a nice steady sideways direction, because this was still in an upward direction, is actually right here. It began right here at this point, and the lowest point was right here at 26.78. That's an important number, that if it breaks through that, this could start to see newer lows and move further away from the 50-day moving average. But as of right now, we are slightly above that, and our resistance level and supports have slightly moved and changed. And we're going to look at that in just a moment as I move these over to their new location. So super important to keep those numbers in mind. Again, this chart is looking great, and there is no red flags of this like just collapsing, right? That's what I've noticed. And it's forming that sideways movement, which I've been talking about. I really want every investor to be aware of this, because of the fact that this has actually been working its way up and it's hanging out in that sideways direction that it keeps forming. And the only cool thing I can imagine is that this is going to continue to go in a sideways direction. And once it has a moment to break through, it's going to rise up to newer highs that we haven't seen just yet. So as long as NIO is growing and their profits are coming in and earnings has a strong report to go ahead and show its investors, I believe that NIO is going to continue this potential that everyone's talking about. And I always keep mentioning it. It's one of the few EV car sectors that could compete right now, producing its product and compete in the sector of cars. You know, main consumers are going to buy cars. Some are going to buy trucks, and I get that. But a lot of people, one of the most bought cars in America is the SUV, right? And also the four-door sedan. And that's what this company is focusing on. And maybe NIO can expand later. But right now, NIO is producing something that could go head-to-head versus Tesla. And the only advantage is creating a quality car at a much more affordable price. And Teslas are getting ahead of the game right now with that, with all those speculations and talking about, obviously, the $25,000 car, the $30,000 car that they're trying to make that's going to be more affordable and so forth. So NIO has a competitive edge where they can create an affordable car and then try to beat them probably on miles and distance per charge, and that could make them look more appealing. And there's just so many things that NIO could actually continue to innovate to go ahead and produce something that will become global. You know, it won't just be in China. I mean, China has a large population, so if they just sell in China, I mean, they can grow as well. Don't get me wrong. The population is tremendous, and if they just start doing contracts over there, that's great. But if they go global, NIO is going to be on a competitive edge right there with Tesla. So we got to see what's going to happen with NIO. NIO has a bright future ahead of it if it continues to produce what investors are expecting, right? So let's go ahead and get these to the T where they should go. And let's go ahead and see where our 50-day moving average is. So right now we got to move this up. And our 50-day moving average is slightly above the price. So the tug of war has been seen here in the last couple of days. And another thing as well, we slightly fell below it, and now we're really close to it. So the bulls have a chance to come back. They need to maintain the momentum. It's at 27.90 right now, and the 50-day moving average is 27.96. I'd write that down. As long as we're below it, the bears are in control. The moment we cross it, the bulls are in control. On the other hand, we have our resistance level. Our resistance level here is 28.31. If the bulls break through the 50-day moving average, their next goal is the resistance level, so they can pull away from it and start to hit newer highs. So it's super important for the bulls to break through 28.31 so they can start to work their way up deeper into bullish territory. So if the bulls accomplish this, they've accomplished two things. They broke through the 50-day moving average, getting back into bullish territory, and they broke through the first resistance level in bullish territory to break away from the 50-day moving average in an upward direction. So super important for the bulls to break through this, turn that into a support, and hit newer highs. On the other hand, we have what the bears want, and the bears want to tear this down. They already are slightly winning the tug of war here by staying below the 50-day moving average, and we've been below it since October 19th, which was yesterday. It all started, and now the bulls are trying to get back up. Now, the bears are still pulling them down, and if they're able to hit newer lows, they're going to try to hit the lowest point reached in the day, and that's 27.05. If 27.05 does get broken through, that is something I want to emphasize to all investors. Pay very close attention to how this stock is reacting, because if 27.05 is broken through, we're already in bearish territory, and that gets us further away from the 50-day moving average in a downward direction, making it harder for the bulls to bring it back up. So it's super important for every investor to pay close attention to the behavior of this stock. Put your 1 minute, your 5 minute, and your 15-minute charts to see those time frames, and then also look at the inflow and outflow of how many people are buying and selling and what is driving the price down or bringing it to level off, and hopefully give a chance for the bulls to come back up. Now, if the bulls do reappear anywhere down here or even below the 50-day moving average, which is already down there, but even further down in this area and below the support, then obviously that is a sign that the bulls are trying to build momentum, but it does not mean that they've gained control until they break through 27.96. That's the most important number here. 27.96 is what signifies on what side of the chart we're in. So the bulls need to come in hefty and strong to bring this one back up, and obviously then aim towards that resistance level to maintain themselves above the 50-day moving average and hit newer highs and newer resistance levels. So keep those numbers in mind. And again, the emphasis is if it breaks through 27.05, pay very close attention to the behavior of the stock due to the fact that that's one of the lowest points reached within the last couple of days and the lowest point reached in bearish territory. I know that it reached another low down here that I talked about earlier in the previous videos, and I talked about it today, and that's a good number to keep in mind. But this is the lowest point, 27.05, in bearish territory. This was not in bearish territory, but it is one of the lowest points since this started going sideways, and those are two references to pay very close attention to if this is going in the other direction. But right now, there's some momentum here, and the bulls are going to try their best to continue to work their way up. They need to break to the 50-day moving average to get back into bullish territory. As always, if you found this video helpful and informative, please do so and subscribe. Share this with your friends and community. Don't forget to click on the bell. By clicking on the bell, you turn on all notifications to not miss a single video that I post. Share this with all your friends. I really encourage that, because this is insight that you don't want to just keep to yourselves. More investors know this, and the more investors know this, the more equipped they are for each trading day. And also, don't forget to hit the like button to let me know you watched this video. At the end of this video, there's going to be a pop-up video. In that video, I talk about the S&P 500 and how it's been rising on specific dates. On those specific dates, those are the scheduled Federal Reserve pump dates. And if you look at the video, I go ahead and I put the charts and the dates side by side. You're going to go ahead and see it. The charts speak for themselves. But what does that mean for us as investors? Well, if the S&P 500 index is rising several points, then that means that there's individual ticker symbols in the S&P 500 index rising up with it. They rise up anywhere from 30 cents to $3 per share. And that is a great opportunity for investors to maximize profits and minimize losses. It's a strategy that doesn't guarantee you profits, and I'm not there to tell you to buy, sell, or hold anything. I'm just here to enlighten every investor that there's an opportunity to make profits for as long as the Federal Reserve continues to pump the markets, whether it's going up or it's going down. Check it out. Very informative. If you haven't had a chance, it should be popping up soon if it hasn't already. And thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make some money.